the hottest part of the day, or you just got new wheels. Call Sharp Window Tinting in Burleson, 817-615-9379, or look them up on the web, sharpwindowtint.com.
Let's be honest, wheelchairs are heavy, bulky, and ugly. If you carry a wheelchair in your car to take care of a loved one, you know how hard it is getting that clunky, old-style wheelchair in and out of your car. Introducing the Feather Chair Wheelchair. At 13 pounds, it's the world's lightest wheelchair. It folds in seconds and fits neatly in your trunk, backseat, or closet, so you can take it everywhere. And it's only available right here. Order yours today and get a free wheelchair case, a $50 value, yours free. The Feather Chair, the world's lightest wheelchair, is just
800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. That's 800-823-5826.
Fast Track Student Loan out of default, free wage garnishments, stop collection card, stop seizure, refund. Give your break. Stop the and get your student loan.
Stop right now!
A month based on what you can afford to pay.
No!
709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395.
You're listening to Joco Community Radio.
Hello, Jobfather Nation. We are excited to be here with you this Friday with our Jobfather, Foister Williams, and me, your co-host, Dana Gingerich. We have a jam-packed cast today, and we are excited. Foister will be interviewing and introducing those people in just a moment, but let's start with our announcement and a quick prayer. What do you think, Foister?
Absolutely. Let's go.
Awesome. Well, everybody, we're proud to be here through Joco Community Radio, the proud voice of Johnson County, Texas, and it's live 365 on the TuneIn Radio Network. Now, to listen or watch, you can simply go to TuneInJocoRadio.com, or you can go to your iOS or Android app store and download the app for free, Joco Community Radio, and listen to our lineup. This episode and more is brought to you by Patriot Claims. You can call 844-TEX-HAIL. That is 844-839-4245. And we are here to help the job transition community. Help us reach more people. Please go to our LinkedIn page, Joco Community Radio, and like us. It gives us capabilities to reach further, deeper, and wider, supporting those individuals that are going through a career transition for many, numerous, and hopefully positive reasons. With that being said, let's bow our heads real quick and say a word of prayer. What do you think, Foister?
Yeah, let's go.
All righty.
Wow, that's my talk today.
Yeah. Dear Heavenly Father, we are just so honored and blessed to be here to serve your community. Please bless the show and bless those attending. Lead, guide, and direct us and help us to have a great and safe weekend. In your name we pray, Jesus. Amen. All right, Foister, share with us our amazing, wonderful, exciting guests that obviously have the golden stamp of Foister's approval.
We do have a good show today. So, guys, let me tell you a little bit about the Jobfather. The Jobfather, this radio show's me and Dana, and we endeavor to bring you guys good information. If you're looking for a job, if you listen to this show, we're hoping that you can pick up some tips that will help you in your search. And if you have any questions, please, please, please
Bring
reach
them.
out to Dana and me, Foster. Link
Bring
in
'em.
with us and all of that. So we thank you. We thank you, Tiffany and crew at Joco Community Radio for sponsoring us and letting us be right here where we are. So, good Friday, everyone. You guys just heard Dana talk about it being Friday. I think had to think about it for a minute there when she said Friday.
What
So,
day of the week are we on?
what day
We've
of
been
the week are we on, my
so
goodness?
busy.
Oh my goodness. So guys, so if you notice today we are week number 7 in the NCAA
Oh yeah.
college football. So today is UCLA Day. So
Okay.
we are number 11 in the nation now. And hey, because we beat Utah last week and we've got Oregon coming up next week. We'll be off tomorrow, I think. But anyway, I just had to throw that in there because Rex is with us. Oh, there's my main man, Eugene Clay is with us.
Hey,
All right.
Joelle.
Hey, Gene. Joelle is with us. Joelle is one of our absolute favorites. You might as well say Joelle is
You
part
know
of the
what?
show because she really is.
We can't forget our hype lady and our
Absolutely.
individual that helps run everything behind the scenes.
Yep.
Meg Rose Caterio. Mez,
Uh-huh.
we are thankful for you. Thank you for being with us and keeping us in line.
Yeah, Mez keeps us in line, guys. You guys can find her. Mez is what we call her.
Mez.
She is one project managing chick, man.
Oh,
She keeps
yes.
everything together here.
Yes.
And hi, Yvette Garcia. I see you out there. And Christina Torchia's with us. Oh my goodness, we got a jam-packed thing today. I think
Woo,
everybody
hey, everybody.
everybody wants to hear from Diana. Everybody wants to hear from Diana, and everybody wants to hear from Steffani Stalos. Dr. Stalos, we appreciate you being with us.
Yeah.
And why don't we just start off in true Bruin fashion with my friend Diana Alt? So Diana, guys, is coined as a no BS career strategist. So
Yes.
pause for effect and let that sit in. We are going to talk with Diana about her observations of job search and stuff, before and after COVID, some things we're probably going to talk about, and also some things maybe that we don't want to see, we don't want to share on our resume. So, so Diana, hey Diana, just jump in there. I'll
I
run my
will.
mouth
I
too
will. I
much.
will.
And you guys will love it. I kid you not, you will love Diana. She spoke at our HR CSN a couple of weeks ago, and the outcome was tremendous. And there were a lot of people saying, "Foster, bring that lady back." So, okay, I want to connect you guys with the right people that are going to not be afraid to tell you the things that you need to know, even though it's what you don't want to hear.
Little
So,
hard truth.
yeah,
It's it's one of my specialties. So I like to say some people love different personality tests and things, and the main ones I like are the Strengths Finder, which I'm a
uh-huh.
certified coach in, and the Enneagram, which, if you don't know what that is, that's the one with the numbers. So my Enneagram is 8, which is the challenger, and I like to say that conflict is my love language. So I will say all the hard truths to people. So
I love it.
That Enneagram, I'm not even familiar. I'm glad you brought that up. And the
it's a good
fact
one.
that you said an 8, I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right.
For sure. It's a good one, and it's actually like ancient. It's from very far back, and I
How
like
do you
it.
spell that, Diana?
It's ENNEAGRAM.
Yeah, they're big.
It's funny. I feel like
is
I'm
everywhere.
I put it in our private chat too. If somebody wants to put it up, but it's very interesting because it's about you as a person and like your fears and motivations and a lot of the things that are used in job search, like when you have to take a personality test or they're doing leadership development or whatnot, it ends up being like the DISC and the Myers-Briggs and all these things that are only, a few decades old. And so I kind of love going back to this whole model that is centuries and thousands of years old. So anyway, I'm not an expert. I dabble in it a little bit. I dabble, but it's one of those things that helps you make sense of yourself, which is always good in life.
Yeah.
So
yeah. As you go along, we folks that serve, we get a chance to see a lot that's going on across the United States, and anything that adds value, guys, we want to share. Y'all know I got a big mouth. You know I can't keep it close. So I got to introduce you guys to people like Diana, and I got to tell you about wonderful, wonderful services that are out there that can help you guys in the job search.
Yeah. Real quick, but before we'll put a pin in this, like, there's the best book to start with about the Enneagram, and I actually like people to read this book instead of going and taking quizzes. It's called The Road Back to You. It's an easy read, fairly inexpensive on Amazon, and it's by a guy named Ian Morgan Cron, I think is his name. He's one of those guys with 3 names and doctorates and all that kind of stuff, but it's really good to go and learn about that if you're interested.
Say that name again. Say that author again.
Yeah. It's Ian Morgan Cron. I'm gonna go over to Amazon and grab a link to the book. I'll drop it in our chat.
Mez posted it as well. Mez just put it up in the public.
Good. Well, we'll let Amazon get a little money off of this. So
yeah. We're excited though, Diana, to hear about, kind of from a no BS standpoint, how your knowledge and experience can relate to helping some of the job seekers and the strategy behind interviewing and acquiring. And we're really glad you're bringing this book to the table. It is very well known globally, and a lot of people, Christian Foster looks at it as well she's a PhD therapist. And so she looks at it a lot when providing therapy and learning from people. So I will say I've heard a lot about it, and it does kind of help you understand your personality, others' personalities, and how to relate, right?
Yes. And motivations and things like that. So it's definitely great. But like when I think about job search, any career transition, whether it's I got laid off, oh my gosh, I want to eat and live indoors, so I need something now, or if it's a more proactive transition, I like to talk about my 4 pillars of an ideal job. And a lot of people just really set a lot of this aside. They don't think holistically enough. And so my pillars, which I was really excited to get to go over a little bit in Foister's networking group a few weeks ago, they are the right work, the right leaders, the right environment, and the right culture. So
right. That's good.
Yeah, it's a big deal. I actually wrote a post on LinkedIn yesterday. I kind of broke it down a little bit differently, and it's what I call the how, the who, the what, the who, the how, and the heart. So what happens a lot is people are only thinking about, oh, I like this one aspect of it, but everything's else a mess. If you don't have like at least 3 of these right, you're in trouble. So to unpack it a little bit, having the right work means that you're doing work that you're actually interested in, that you can find that state of flow, that you enjoy most of it, because we all got dumb stuff we don't want to do, right? Like, does anybody want to attend the weekly status meeting? No. But if most of the rest of your job is good, then you're in good shape. And the other thing I talk about a lot is it has the right level of challenge. You don't want to be bored, but you don't want to be given something that's so hard that you feel like you're set up to fail. So that's the right work.
Amen.
And then the next section about right leader, we all know that the top 2 reasons that people leave jobs is there's no growth opportunity and that their boss is not right for them. Like they hate their boss. They don't feel respected by their boss. So in the right leader category, you're looking for that boss that you can have a good relationship with that meets your needs. So I don't go out and say, oh, you don't want a micromanager, because number one, no one's ever defined micromanager to begin with. And a micromanager is different to everybody. But the other thing is, some people want a lot of structure, support, validation. They want their boss walking alongside of them. And some of them want to be like the old Ronco rotisserie grill. Set it and forget it. Just tell me what to do.
That is so funny.
Yeah. Am I a Gen Xer or what with the Ronco rotisserie grill?
I
And then you
love
also,
it.
Wow, Ronco, you're digging. Oh my goodness.
I wanted one of those. I don't even know why. I was like 12 years old watching this
You're like,
infomercial, and
I
I
gotta
wanted a
have
rotisserie grill.
Well, everything from
I,
Ronco captured your attention. I mean, you wanted to see what
it
in
was
the world are
good.
they
I
doing
mean,
this time. Yeah.
oh my
Well-
gosh, the product demo is amazing. But then also you want to work somewhere that's got a good strategic direction. So you can have a great boss, but if the C-suite is a bunch of yahoos, or if they are taking the
seen it.
company in a really bad strategic direction, then that might not be the place for you.
Yeah.
That's right. Scott Campbell says, I love Ron Popeil. Oh my goodness. That was the name I couldn't think of. Thank you, Scott.
Oh gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Joe
I
and
couldn't.
Fry and I talk about leadership styles a lot.
Yeah.
And that's really important. So you guys, if you ever work for Joel Fry, you're gonna love it. So whatever style you get, that's the one you want to copy.
Yeah. Well, whatever is right for you. And
Right.
I don't have kids, but you know, many people in my life have kids. And when you're talking about a boss, like, it's a lot like parenting to be a boss. I have been a boss. You can't treat everyone exactly the same, because one person needs more training and help. One person wants to be let to fly, and you want somebody that can roll with what you need, or at least matches what you need. On the environment part, that's all that stuff that we talk about that isn't the work. So it's, am I being paid fairly? Do I have the right title? You know, is everybody else got a senior project manager or whatever title, and I don't yet, but I'm doing the same work? That's not fair. Can you make your niece's soccer game? Can you have the vacation time that you want? Does your life work with your work? That's all the environment stuff. And then the culture part, I define as values in action, because culture is not foosball tables and snacks and pizza parties.
That's true.
It is the expression of the values of the company in day-to-day life, in policy, not just on the website, not just on the conference room wall, and how well that aligns to you. Some people really want tight alignment. You know, you really see that a lot in nonprofits or like in religious organizations, things like that. Most people are very, very tight. Entrepreneurs clearly want to build their business according to their values, but some people don't need that much. You know, I had someone that just said, I just can't deal with finance. I don't want to be in hedge fund. I think that's exploitative, but I can work in almost any other industry if the people are pretty nice. So again, it's all back to what's right for you. But when I work with my clients about if they're considering a job offer or they're trying to figure out if it's time for them to start looking, I always take them through those 4 pillars. And most people that I start working with have a maximum of one of those pillars that's working. And our goal is to get them to where they have 3 or 4. So anyhow,
wow.
That's my unpack that. So what's
That's
missing?
a good unpacking.
Yeah, what's missing? Anybody think can anybody think of something that they feel like, Diana didn't talk about that? Where does that fit?
Well, you know, I know that you talk about, and I wanted to bring you to the HR group because we're focusing on resumes and that kind of thing. And resumes have changed a little bit. The foundations of what needs to be there still needs to be there. But I definitely wanted to bring Diana out to talk about that, because there's some things that don't need to be on our resume, y'all. Yeah,
that is for sure. And you know, when I go through the 4 pillars, people are like, what does that have to do with my resume? It has everything to do with the resume. The very first thing you have to do in your search before you can write a good resume is figure out what the heck you want. So if you haven't thought through what kind of role do I want, what kind of, you know, there's a big difference between trying to get a job as a developer at a startup and getting a job as a developer in the federal government. So you want to go through all that stuff. So anyhow. On resumes, oh man, there's so much bad resume advice out there, isn't there, Foster?
There is, isn't it? Yeah.
It is a train wreck. The big thing I think is the scourge on the job seeker right now is all the people that are selling ATS compliant resume templates.
Oh.
Y'all know that's not a thing, right? It's not actually a thing. Surprise. Surprise.
Explain that,
Diana. So I'll explain that for you. So the ATS or applicant tracking system is basically a filing cabinet. So companies have this, whatever their online application method is, basically goes into a system that's loosely called the ATS. It can have some rules set in it. It can have some logic to help with the workflow. But there's this myth that nobody ever sees your resume unless it's perfect because of the ATS bots. And one of my favorite voices on LinkedIn is Amy Miller, and she's a recruiter. Do you know of Amy Foster? She sells shirts on her website that say "I am the ATS bot," because the ATS rarely actually takes anybody out of view. In most companies, especially if they do any hiring or subcontracting with the federal government, it is required for a human to assess every single resume. So when someone tries to say, oh, pay my $10 for this template on Etsy or Canva or whatever that is ATS compliant, it's a load of bunk, because number one, what you think you know about the ATS is wrong. And number two, most of them actually are either too simple, like you can get it out of your Microsoft Word level and simple, or they're laid out with all this graphic stuff that's hard for anybody to read, whether it's a system or a human. So the other thing is that there's dozens, probably hundreds of applicant tracking systems out there. So if you're going to tell me it's ATS compliant, you have to be saying that you comply with you work perfectly with every single ATS. You know every single company, every way that they're going to implement, and every rule that they're going to put in, and yours perfectly matches. So I like the term ATS friendly, but honestly, if you make it friendly to the human eye, it's going to be friendly to the applicant tracking system. So I like to focus on the human reader first whenever I work with people on their resumes, and then let's tidy it up. Like, let's make sure we didn't mess it up to where the computer isn't going to like it. So that's a lot of my take. And so the things that there's so many things people put on their resume that are counterproductive. And one of the biggest ones is like multiple columns and tables and pictures and a bunch of colors and all this kind of stuff. Like, you don't need, I'm not saying you can't use any of that, because some of it is nice. Some design does draw the eye in, but most of what's out there that people are selling is terrible.
Yeah.
And it
Big
detracts,
Five have,
it detracts from your skills and experience instead of enhancing them. So anyhow, what else about resume do you want me to tackle, Foster? I could talk all day. I don't know how long
let's Diana, let's talk about, because there are some companies that have, first of all, on that job description, one of the first things that they mention is they want a certain level of education. So do we put, and I've seen on LinkedIn, everybody's been going back and forth on LinkedIn. You know how LinkedIn is.
Oh, I love LinkedIn.
It's
not quite the dumpster fire Twitter is, but it's good for some conversation for sure.
That's true.
So,
everybody's trying to figure out, where do I put my education? Do I put it at the bottom, or do I put it at the top, or any of that?
Depends on the type of role that you're looking at.
It does. It depends on the type of role, and it depends on the type of role. It depends on how much education you have. It depends on stage of your career. So, for example, if you're a 22-year-old getting ready to graduate from, what do you love, UCLA?
We'll say UCLA.
We'll say UCLA. So if you're getting ready to graduate with your business degree from UCLA, and you're 22 years old and you've only just had like a couple internships, put your degree towards the top. It's not the very first thing, because you need like a summary and like some other stuff to draw the eye in, but it goes above your work experience if you're that early in your career. When I teach I have a 6-step method that I teach for resumes, and I talk a lot in my little resume mini course that I have that people can get. It's very inexpensive. About the concept of above the fold, which is a journalism term. So if anything that is not above the fold in the newspaper at the newsstand, people aren't going to see. And if the good stuff's below the fold, they're not going to pick up your newspaper, right? So on your resume, it's the same thing. The first third to half of the page of your resume, that top part of your resume, earns the right for the recruiter to read the rest.
That's right.
So you want to draw people in.
Drive me towards where I'm asking for.
Exactly. So what I often do with people, unless they're in an industry where it's like you're going to be all the way up to a PhD and you're going to be describing your thesis and all this kind of stuff, I have them put their education very succinctly right below their professional summary and a few of their key transferable skills, the ones that are those keywords from the job posting that you want the recruiter to latch onto. But if you're more experienced and for some reason that format doesn't align with you, because maybe you want to use that space for your top key accomplishments, that biggest project you ever did that you're proud of, then I would put the education after your work experience, but before like extra community activities and stuff like that. So it depends. And the beautiful part of your resume is like, once you know what it should say, moving it around is easy. It's like Tetris, you just move it to where it seems to make sense. So
Pay attention
that's
to
my
what,
take.
guys, pay attention to what's on that job description. Now I have been an aerospace
Wait,
recruiter
what?
a big
Are
portion
you?
of my career. Aerospace, financial arenas, semiconductors.
Yeah.
Those people will say, hey, if you don't have a degree, or some of them they will say, if you don't have a master's degree, you're not coming in my house.
Yeah.
Then if that's what they want, guys, give it to
Get
them.
it up there.
Get it up there. Right.
You're trying to win the 6 seconds because there's studies that say, I've heard 6 seconds, 7 seconds, 8 seconds. But the bottom line is people are not sitting down with a cup of tea and a blanket in a half hour to read your resume. They are likely, they may be on a subway trying to get some work done before they get to an office on their phone, scanning through who are the 12 apps that came in last night for roll number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you want to draw them in quickly, and you want there to be enough white space that they can easily read it, and you want the stuff that they need to jump out. So if you're in a field like engineering, a lot of engineering roles require a professional engineering license. You can put that PE behind your name. You can put the certification and you're above the fold. There's a lot of different ways you can handle that, but you do not want to bury that on page 4 of a resume that should have only been 2 pages to begin with.
Hey, Diana, real quick, because we're about to go to commercial.
Sure.
Length of resumes, and I mean, we got about 15 seconds.
Okay.
Foster's got 20 years. Dana's got 20 years. Is it okay for us to go 3 pages? Maybe even touch a 4th page on a resume setup.
Okay. Well, you want to make sure everything you put on there is relevant. Your resume should be as many pages as you need to be relevant for your target role and no longer. So I have very rarely run across a situation where people need a 3rd or a 4th page, even with 20 plus years, because their things have morphed over time. But if you're going into academia or the federal government sector, it's perfectly acceptable for it to be longer. It's almost expected. But everything you put on there, say, what's the tie? What does this tell them either about my experience and skills and qualifications or about my values that's important enough to be on here? It is a brochure. It's not a biography. So if you think in those terms, then a lot of times you can take things off. If you're going for a CFO role, nobody needs to know that you were an account payable clerk in 1998. They're going to figure out that you got your accounting experience.
Right. I appreciate it. There's our music.
Hey, everybody.
Thank you,
We've
Diana.
got the radio, and we will be
back
back
right.
after this break.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Wilfred Brimley for Loafing Dog.
I'm Wilfred Brimley for Loafing Dog. When I get the hankering for a hot dog, I go to Cleveland, Texas. Just a couple blocks off the square, they got Loafing Dog. They got the Neely Dog, the Mary Sunshine Dog, the Casey Dog, and the Shirley Dog. Why, they even got the Pacer Dog, the Brooklyn Dog, and the Jim Dog. Can't forget the Shane Dog, or the Joy Dog, and the Monty Dog. I like that fool. The Nakia Dog and the Braxton Dog round things off. Why, they even got a kids menu too.
Loafing Dog, 208 East Chambers Street, Cleveland, Texas. Lunch, catering, or takeout, plus outdoor seating. Phone numbers 817-556-1040.
This is Wilford Brimley. And don't forget, loafing dog won't give you diabetes.
Out of deck carpet giving you the blues? Tired of your old dingy and broken tile? Let my friends at the Floor Store in Cleveland, Texas give your home the makeover it deserves. This is Old Taco Joe coming to you for the Floor Store. Whether it's carpet, tile, wood flooring, or real wood laminate, the Floor Store can cover all of your flooring needs. Located at 405 West Henderson Street in Cleveland, Texas, owner Brent Harris can help. Shower tile, tub surrounds, even backsplashes. Give them a call today at 817-641-9444. The Floor Store, they got you covered.
When you're hungry for tender brisket or some delicious homemade cobbler, then look no further than Leach Brothers Barbecue, located at 1106 East Henderson, Cleveland, Texas. Leach Brothers has been family owned and operated since 1950. Take it from me, Taco Joe Orwinski. Todd and his family have been filling my belly breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a long time. Heck, I even have my own booth, open Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Come see them for dine-in, carry-out, and all your catering needs.
Joco Community Radio. Listen live at tunein.com.
Hello, hello. Welcome back. As a reminder, you're listening to Joco Community Radio, and you are here for the second half of the Jobfather radio show and podcast. Foister, talk to us about the second half. Sounds like we've got a lot of exciting things going on.
Yeah, we've got Dr. Steffani Stalos with us. And guys, you know, we've got to mention, I have to mention a few of our landings that we've had. Guys, the landings are continuing to go. I think we're not going to see a big slowdown in landings because of what we've been through. Even as we go through, we're going to march through the holidays pretty strong. So you guys don't give up during the holidays. Keep a moderate amount. Now, you know, the holidays takes a little family time, but keep a moderate amount of activity going during those holidays. So we want to congratulate Stacy Martin. She's at Samsung. She's an operations specialist at Samsung Electronics America. We know Samsung. I bet you guys have some Samsung products somewhere around your house, somewhere.
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Uh-huh. And, you know, we keep hearing about the layoffs and things that have happened at BNSF Railway, but, you know, they're still hiring. During those times, we're still hiring at these companies. Arturo Gonzalez, his middle name is Mauricio, and now he is a new train conductor. He's going to be a train conductor, but he's training, right? He's a trainee right now with BNSF, and I'm happy to hear that because one of my old recruiters at Verizon, you know who I'm talking about, Heath, was a train conductor before I got him. So that's pretty cool. Tim Smith, you have landed. You're a director of capital investments at Exponential Property Group. Congratulations, Tim. And so,
congrats.
Yeah, can't forget Robbie Jones, and she is a senior executive recruiter. Yay, we like that, don't we, Dana? We got somebody else in the box with us at Jane Roberts Consulting. Jane Roberts, thumbs up for you. You got a good one. You got Robbie Jones. And Diane Carmody is a RN. Guys, she's got a new position as a administrative director of surgical services at Norman Regional Health Systems. See, you can get a job in Oklahoma.
Woo!
See about that? What you think about that? Okay.
That's great.
Now we're gonna get off of that, and Dana and I are going to talk with Dr. Steffani Stalos, guys, who is with us. And Steffani is really, really cool. You companies, I want you guys to hear Dr. Steffani is a pathology expert, and she's going to tell us you might want to hire her. Actually, some of you companies that are involved in lab services, if you need a leader, now she's leadership, guys. She's going to tell us more about what she's looking for. But okay, Mez, you're going to like this, and Dana, you're going to like this. Steffani gets the Jobfather seal of endorsement for her job search. I have gotten to see Steffani in many of our networking opportunities. I've watched her, I've heard her, and companies. You guys, you don't really need to listen to what Steffani's going to say about her job search and what she's looking for. So, Steffani, hello.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Tell us a little bit about, we always hear that we start off interviews. Tell us a little bit about Steffani and what you're looking for, kind of thing.
Sure. So again, my name is Steffani Stalos, and I'm in the medical device and pharma space, looking for medical director and medical writing opportunities. And you were great to bring up my background, Foister, as a pathologist. And so my past involves being an entrepreneur for the past 13 years. I try to say 12 plus years, not to get jinxed by 13 there, but I am board certified in pathology and lab medicine. I turn lab results into English, and
Yeah, that's a need for guys like me. Yeah.
a lot of people need that. And
Yeah.
so I have, through my company, become very comfortable with interacting with cross-functional groups to bring order for operations, and this has been in the laboratory space. But during that time, I've been involved with a lot of medical devices, medical writing. And so those are the kind of positions I'm looking for. And so that's a little bit about me.
Okay, that's good because what I think now, I've been a recruiter for a long time, and when I hear backgrounds of people, and I've heard some of the applications of your background that you've used and you've talked about and we've talked about, and
Yeah.
some of the networking opportunities, I know that companies can think outside of the box. If you need leadership in certain areas that maybe you haven't had leadership in, maybe you hospitals out there. Dr. Steffani's background could be something you might want to have a conversation with Dr. Steffani about and say, hey, I know you may not have thought about this, but we've been thinking about it. And this is what we need. This is the kind of leadership I think I know. I ain't thinking today. I'm not thinking. I got my UCLA shirt on today. Okay. So I know you guys want to talk to Dr. Steffani about leadership in certain areas that you guys know you need help in.
Yes, and thanks, Joelle, for the shout out from YouTube. And something that I think is kind of rare about me that is not always immediate on a resume is that I am a physician, so I love medicine, but I also love business. And that's not a common characteristic of physicians, and nothing against physicians who just want to do bread and butter medicine. That's very acceptable. But yeah, and see, I think what that does is it translates into the comfort level with different parts of life sciences or medical company that not every person with a medical background could feel comfortable with. And so even for my business, which I'm winding down, I've had to be involved in sales, research and development, marketing, and using that creative side of the mind, and just kind of opening yourself up to, what the client needs. And I have also been instrumental in turning around lab companies that were faced with losing their license to practice, or going to lose their accreditation. And what that means business-wise is no money. You don't have a license, you don't have your accreditation. No. That means you can't satisfy the qualifications of the third-party payer. Then that's no money. And so taking some of these nuances that have been in the laboratory field and being able to meld them together to make sense to different departments is something I'm very good at. And I've written executive summaries for laboratories. So this is where it's the big challenge, because we all know as a company, you need to differentiate yourself. And just because you're in medicine, that is not really an excuse to not do that, especially in the lab field. So I feel very comfortable with the medical, and then putting on the thinking cap to differentiate businesses, and I have had to do so through executive summaries because I don't know if everybody's noticed, we've been in this pandemic and it's reshaped the healthcare landscape.
Yes.
So
Yes, I got excited when I heard about your writing background because I know everything has to be documented. But a lot of times, guys, we need to write down to help other leadership understand the direction that we're going and why we're going in that direction. I'm a little akin to medical stuff because when I started college, I was pre-med. So that don't mean I know nothing, but but I do. Yeah, I do have the interest. That's absolutely right. And I think that writing part of it that you so eloquently put out there as part of your skill set, I think that's important.
Thank
You know
you.
more about that than I do.
Thank you. And it's not just a technical type of writing, although I do technical writing. It's just like anything. You have to have a passion for it. You have to like the art. I mean, there's the science of medicine, and then there's the art of medicine. There's the technical of writing, and then there's the art of writing. So you have to really like bringing, blossoming different topics. And there's been so many interesting laboratory topics that I don't really want to
we don't want to get
burden us with. But I've been asked to comment, and so it's an interesting mindset of how to make something that seems very pigeonholed appeal to a lot of people. And so
I'm glad that you're here today. Of course, I'm glad that you're here with us today because I do want you to meet Dana, because I think I mentioned Dana's old company, Caris Life Sciences.
That's right.
Dana was 10 years there, and she knows that company inside and out. And I think a future conversation between you guys might add a lot of value.
Wonderful. I didn't know that you'd been here that length of time, Dana.
Absolutely, I'd be very interested. We hired pathologists, and then we also hired a lot of these to do our medical writing in the oncology space, or technical.
Okay.
And also for the MSLs. So
Okay.
Oh, that's somebody else throwing some of those acronyms.
Yeah.
I can't tell if Dana's saying something.
There's a lot of opportunity.
Her connection's a little rough all of a sudden. Dana, your connection's a little rough all of a sudden. So some of your words are getting choppy. We can still tell what you're saying, but they're getting a little choppy. But that's okay. Connect with Dana. I tell everybody, connect with Dana. Dana knows what she's doing.
Yes, I'd love to.
Okay. So, Steffani, am I to understand that you have also spoken at some seminars and some offerings that you have had representing some of the companies that you've been with, kind of thing?
Yes. So usually I'm asked to comment on laboratory related topics. And pathology, one recent podcast, well, not that recently, was with People of Pathology with Dennis Strank, who is a pathology assistant. And, to kind of bring more visibility to pathology in general, since we're a specialty, not usually out there in the same way as the primary care. And just to share my own viewpoints, I was with some chief medical officers recently with Rollis Fontenot, where we talked about the state of healthcare with respect to staffing. I mean, you guys know better than anybody the staffing and retention, and how to adapt to changing things in healthcare reimbursement. And in my lab world, how that contributes to the organism of medicine.
And that's what it is, the organism.
Yes, you have to know your part really well, but you also need to know how you fit in. And I've written articles on my LinkedIn and videos on my LinkedIn just on my own. They're not necessarily for any particular company. So to kind of get more visibility for laboratory medicine, because it kind of occurs behind the curtain.
And a lot of people are doing a lot of work, especially during the pandemic, that I wanted to be out in the open. And so I kind of use that theme behind the curtain. And so there's been a lot of, I just put a lot of things out there. COVID, just I put my little 2 cents out there.
Well, we need your 2 cents, and if you want to give us another couple of cents to go with it, that'll make 4, and we might be able to buy. No, we won't be able to buy anything in this day and time. But it adds value.
A little bit better.
I can hear you a lot
now.
better.
I cleared my cookies.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that
Daggone
earlier.
cookies,
What I was
man.
trying to say was that Caris Life Sciences and a lot of organizations, now Caris was in the oncology space, but a lot of organizations will hire MDs with the specialty, in alignment with the type of company it is, hire them for many different roles, whether it be a medical writing type role, a liaisoning type role, or for example, because we were an oncology focused company, we would hire pathologists to sign off on all the molecular profiling tests that we run. But being a physician and having that MD, but yet a passion for business, there are a lot of companies out there that hire at a high level like that because they need that individual's expertise when working with round tables and publications and so many other things, that go along with the science liaison type higher level than that.
Yes, very much so. And I see Mez out there asking what target companies might
Mez
be
asked
able
a
to
good
do
question.
Yeah, thanks, Mez.
Yes.
So medical device companies. So I've been looking at Abbott, Philips, let's see, some pharmaceutical companies, which, very, very, very prevalent in the COVID economy right now. And so Amerisource Virgin. And I've been making a lot of connections through Foister and, networking the way one is supposed to network. I will say that for myself, that was a little bit of a hindrance at first because having my own company, I was very used to selling myself and selling yourself and selling the product and service behind it. You just don't leap out and say that. But it's a lot more direct in the job search when you're in the job search mode. So that's a little tweak.
Diana asked a wonderful question.
It brings me back to the first half where we talked about that rotisserie grill and how it was packaged nicely and on the shows. They packaged up the product and the sales nicely. Well, it's the same thing. Whether we're selling ourselves or whether we're selling a product, we have to package what we're selling nicely. And so I think you bring up a really good point. I think something that the listeners can think of is think about the times you listen to or watch those infomercials and how the product is packaged.
Absolutely.
Nicely. It's solving an issue. It is bringing solutions to the table, and bringing something that it has an expertise, a level of expertise. You're solving a problem. So we're packaging ourselves for these organizations. How are we solving a problem? What skill sets can we bring to the table? How can we be sure that our resume reflects our skill sets as it relates to the position we are hiring for? Which is great because it combines the first half of our show with things that that is happening currently that you're doing to package yourself and put yourself out there. And I appreciate you bringing that information forward to show other people in transition the proactive things you're doing that are making a difference. And tell me how you probably having to package yourself, because that is hard for a lot of people.
Yes, thanks, Dana, for saying that. And I think that, and this is also going back to the tweak of how I was packaging myself, Dana. But when you're in the sales, or I was in soft sales with my company, I do this kind of airport thing where you just kind of circle around. You don't land yet. You just kind of give some interesting details. You market things. You gain their interest, and there's not a definite timetable because it's another party you're trying to win their engagement and their trust. But in the job search world, I leave a lot less to their imagination, and I connect the dots. Sometimes if you leave the burden of putting the dots together on someone else's shoulders, the potential employer's shoulders, they're going to look at it through their perspective, and they might not see you in the light that you could be seen in. So for instance, I'm just giving a for instance, and I'm not going to share which company, but there are some lab companies or healthcare companies that when they see you had your own company as a consultant, they can view that, at least in this one case, they can view that as someone is, and this is their words, not robust enough for the position that you're applying for. They're not aware that being an entrepreneur, you have to really put in a lot of hustle. You have to do things you're not necessarily very good at, sales, marketing, as I've mentioned, and you have to win over a lot of different departments, not just the laboratory technical department, but sales and marketing and the C-suite. So you have to speak that language, and so that's why you want to be cautious, but more proactive, I guess, is really what I'm saying, Dana, is you need to connect the dots for people so that they don't get to arrive at that same destination where you're a consultant, so what could you know about interacting with different departments and meeting a deadline and things that you don't really think were accurate.
You brought
That
up
makes
a good
sense,
point,
absolutely.
because the next time I'm going to ask Diana to come on the show again a little bit later down the line. We want to talk about why companies shy away from us, and it's not just in the healthcare arena. Oh my goodness, why in the world do they shy away from us when we've had our own company? A lot of times, because we've had our own company, Foster, I can add a lot of that value to the companies. If they were to hire me, I could take them in areas they haven't gone, didn't even know they needed to go in areas. And there's money. Who's that guy on TV says money? I can't say it like JJ.
I love that topic, Foster. I would love to talk about that, but I have something real quick for people.
Yeah, that question that you ask is important. Ask that question, Diana.
Well, there was two things. I asked a lot in the LinkedIn comments. Your love of business needs to be on your resume, Steffani. It is a differentiator for you, so lean into that. But also, think about, when you think about targeting, are you preferring large companies or open to small and mid-sized companies? Because both the networking tactics can be different and their willingness to accept. Like in a larger company, there can be a big impact, but sometimes you get put into a box. Like if they hired you for operations expertise, you might not get to stretch your business development expertise. And so you might not be as happy. But another thing I wanted to talk about is connecting the dots. So I have a great friend for many years. He's a recruiter, talent acquisition guru named Doug. And every time I talk about resumes on LinkedIn, he says, make it obvious. You have to make things obvious. One of my favorite tricks to make results obvious and to connect the dots is to do at least some of your accomplishment bullet points on your resume in what is commonly called the Google XYZ format.
Yeah.
Google XYZ format. It was popularized by Google, but it works anywhere. And the idea is that the X is what you accomplished, what your great result was, and you put it first. Mm-hmm. The Y is how it's measured, and the Z is how you did it. So an example of that could be basically that you improved operational efficiency in XYZ lab by 25% as measured by whatever you'd measure that by. I'm not a pathology person. By re-engineering operations processes with by leading a cross-functional steering committee, or a 6-month initiative or something like that. So it leads with what you do, and people go, whoa, like she did what to the lab? She did what? And how did she measure that? And then it releases your secret sauce of how you did it. Because for some people, it's going to be like some Six Sigma black belt stuff. For other people, it's going to be more relationship centric. For
Yes.
other people, you know, but showing the way that you go about it. And you can do all that in like 2 lines on your resume. So Google XYZ format. There's some really good blogs online about it.
Yeah, there is.
So, and I like it because it doesn't bury the lead. It shows up front what the impact was and then tells how you did it. So
wonderful, wonderful. Thanks, Diana.
Yeah.
And by the way, I want to shout out to Mez. I saw that she recommended Pete Hernandez, who I am connected with. So thank you for that, Mez.
Absolutely, Pete. Yeah.
Another term that I want to share with you, you probably heard of it, but it was the first time for me. So you were talking about resume and then possibly broaching 2, 3, or 4 pages. Well, I heard a new term. And so a lot of the positions that I apply for use the term CV. And I've been designing that. Well, I heard a new term called BCV, which is brief. Brief CV. I had to look it up.
There is a brief CV. Is that such a thing?
I didn't know. Why am I the first to know this? But
I'm gonna write that down. I need to learn.
Write that down, Diana. Yeah.
Yeah, BCV. But the recruiter, he was kind enough to put in kind of what he meant by BCV. So basically, what he wanted was my CV, but in a more resume-friendly format. So, you know, basically going back to the resume with highlights and KPIs, you know, things that you've accomplished that you know, need to put out there. So that was
for a resume.
I call that a resume. Stephanie, I'd love if you sent me that. I want to dig into that some more.
Okay. Because that might be a term that applies to healthcare professionals that you interact with that, you know, may not be common lingo.
Yeah, it's definitely the first time I've heard it.
Me
okay,
too.
I'll send it.
See, Stephanie, you taught us something today. This is why we network. This is why we do this.
I feel like Mez in the comments is the most entertaining part of the day. So Stephanie teaches us stuff and Mez entertains us.
But to your personality and Mez's personality, yeah. And Christina, go ahead, Stephanie. You saw Christina.
I was just gonna say I saw a lot of good Facebook comments from Christina Torchia, so she's right on it.
Christina is one of our top networkers as well. She and Joel Fry, honestly, you can't beat those two. You really can't.
Yeah. We are coming up on the end of our show. We probably have about a minute left. Any last thoughts or ideas from either of our guests?
I hear music. Too late.
I guess not. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, guys. UCLA Bruins.
Wilson to Venus and Grandview to Godly. This is the voice of Johnson County, JOCO Community Radio.
If you are trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 877-247